All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Relay Bitcoin podcast. Today with Brad Mills. He's been on like 1.5 years ago. And to be honest, Brad, you look different. What happened?
I got a goatee now. That's the difference.
Well,
I got rid of the beard and the long hair, and I just pasted on a goatee.
right. So the beard is different. Definitely, your hair looks different. It's similar, more similar to mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I had told my barber to just do whatever you want. So I change my look up all the time.
Oh, okay.
But I also I did since the last time I was on. I don't know. Was I going to the gym at that time?
I
Probably not.
you've not been into it, at least not publicly, that much. And I feel like you're like 10 kilo less now.
Well, if it was early 2024 when that's when I started going to the gym.
Hmm.
Um, then I think I'm 40 pounds lower
Wow.
than then.
That's like 20 kilo or
Yeah,
something.
I think so. Let me check here.
Holy shit.
When did Brad Mills go on Julian Linger's podcast in 2024?
Actually,
I don't
you.
have a record of you appearing on that podcast in 2024. If it did happen
It's the
and you've
Relay
got details in your
podcast.
notes or any files,
Look
I'm happy.
online.
You were on in December 2022,
I couldn't
but that
find any
must.
information about the
ChatGPT, you're useless. Okay, what'd you say? You found it?
2022, but I think you might have been on another time.
Yeah, dude, it was a while ago. It was
Was
like
it?
3 years ago. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Oh, it's December
It does kind of
2022.
feel, yeah, it does kind of feel like it was only a year and a half ago, but I think it was like 3 years ago.
Really? I feel like
Yeah.
you
So
must
in
have been on again another time.
I don't know. I mean, we've chatted and stuff, but I've been on other
Maybe we didn't
podcasts.
record it.
We were
Huh.
gonna do one last year. We never ended up finishing it or
Oh,
getting it together.
okay.
But yeah, just on investor calls and stuff,
Yeah.
probably. It just
Yeah,
felt
exactly.
like we
That's
did a
why.
podcast.
Exactly. That's why. Because you invested in Relay early, man. Must have been 2020. Like basically in our first, you were in our first
Yeah, I
round.
think it was the first
Yeah.
round. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember actually, I have this really good sense memory recall. And for some reason, like I connect to music
Uh-huh.
memories. And I remember when we were having our conversation where I was on with you and Becca, because Becca from Anchor Watch at the time was working with me,
Yeah.
managing the portfolio and investments I was doing due diligence and all that stuff. And I was listening to DJ Skrilla's Sound Money album by my pool. And when we were having our conversation, the vibe was great. And I was just like, yeah, let's do it. I liked all the sun I was soaking in, and it had the Sound Money vibes in my ears. I was like, yeah, this sounds like a great thing to do. Let's go. Let's go invest in Julian's company, a European Bitcoiner. Let's go. But I just remember vividly, like I was at the pool and I was listening to music, and it was a great conversation. It was a good one.
Nice. So that's how you do your due diligence. Whenever you look at a startup and evaluate whether you want to invest in it or not, you just listen to some music. You feel like whether you get the vibe or not, and if you get it, boom, 100K in. If not, no.
Yeah, pretty much. It just depends on the beats per minute of the song I'm listening to, is the size of the check I write.
Nice. Have you?
You catch me listening to some low classical music, I'll give you $1,000.
Oh my God. I mean, there's so many different investor types out there. You're definitely one of the coolest ones I've ever seen. There's so many complicated dudes, that really mostly do it for financial reasons, and then they're very complicated. They do very bureaucratic, long, cumbersome due diligence processes, and in the end, they want to invest like 50K, which is obviously not
Oh no,
worth it,
okay.
at all. And then also VCs, some VCs do, even though they write bigger checks, 1, 2 million, but they do such like pain in the ass due diligence processes. And there are other VCs that just write a check with 1 million, 2, or even 4, like that. Just like,
Yeah.
maybe not just because of the vibe, but because they followed the project and me as a founder for a few months, and they basically already know, well, yeah, if the timing is right and if the conditions are right, I want to be in, right? I want to invest. And so some are
It
just
makes
so
sense.
complicated.
Like I could see if you're an entrepreneur and you've got wealth and you're a Bitcoiner, then it would be easy to identify talent and just write a big check to a founder without doing insane due diligence.
Yep.
Because you can spot like what systems and procedures is this founder doing? Is he coaching? Is he, or she like just learning? Do they have revenue? Do they track metrics? Do they have a recruiting funnel? Like all those things that an entrepreneur can kind of just like speaks that language. Plus being a Bitcoiner, and this guy's Bitcoin only and he's doing things properly and he's trying to preserve privacy and all this stuff. I could definitely see if you're an entrepreneur, Bitcoiner, venture capital guy, you can just pretty much invest on vibes with very little due diligence.
Yep.
But if you're like, your business is going through the SOPs and the checklists of the due diligence, and your business is to try to get a return for the LPs and all that stuff, it's kind of like, you just have to do it. It's just your job. It's like, yeah, we support Bitcoin, but more so we're trying to get a return for our investors. And they just really have to dig into what your numbers are and what your processes are and your SOC compliance and all that shit, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny though. I could see that.
Yeah. Because they have this responsibility. You're right. And then towards the LP, they have fiduciary duty, etc. And they need to report to them, and they need to write actually a whole case on why they did all these investments. Because many funds, they don't do that many investments. They maybe do 10, 12 investments a year, not more. And then they really, every one really counts, right? And so they really need to legitimize why they did it and evaluate and do this huge due diligence process. It's very inefficient from a founder's perspective, but I also understand why they have to do it.
So 3 years since we last chatted, wow, like I've changed quite a bit in 3 years, a lot. I started exercising in early 2024, so about 2022 when I came on, I was kind of like in the middle of my whole obsessed with like waking everybody up about this DeFi scamming and the crypto token scamming. I was doing spaces all day long and not eating properly. I wasn't getting any exercise. I was basically just like trolled relentlessly and trolling relentlessly, like always following the latest news on what crypto thing is going to rug pull and being like, told you, Bitcoiners told you, and going on crypto podcasts trying to warn them, the end is nigh, withdraw your stable coins, you're going to lose it all. And then I kind of went through a phase where I was like, what is this? Why am I doing this? Like, what's the reason? And what am I distracting myself from by being addicted to this, like, warning everybody about altcoin DeFi scamming and VCs investing in all this stuff, when really what I want to see in the world is more Bitcoin stuff. So I was like, what is it about that makes me focus so much on what's wrong and not what's right? And I kind of withdrew from everything. I stopped doing my podcast. I put a pause on it, and I still really haven't picked it back up. I plan to, but I haven't yet. And I started just working on myself and going to the gym instead of going on Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces. And I started coaching. I joined like a coaching program of a business and mindset coach guy that I've known for 10 years, Dan Martell. And he wrote this really good book called Buy Back Your Time. And I was like, I don't really need to buy back my time, but I do want to get the results I see him posting about on Instagram. Like he developed like a 6-pack ripped abs. And he's 46, right? So it's like, okay, he's doing it. He's got a business that's crushing it, making 10 million a year plus. He's investing in companies in the startup fields that he likes. He's not into Bitcoin, but he's into tech and AI and stuff. And he's invested in all these companies. He's got a wife and 2 young kids. He's crushing it as a dad and a husband. And he's got abs. And he's flying around the world on a private jet. Like, hook me up to that. I need some more of that energy instead of this friggin' beta, like, don't put your money into Celsius. You're going to lose your money. So I was like, no, I gotta harness some of that energy. So I basically spent like a year and a half, and even still I'm on the journey of building my Citadel mind and my Citadel body to kind of think about, like, what if Bitcoin hits 1 million, Like, what will it be like when Bitcoin hits 1 million? Will I be ready for it? Or when startups in my portfolio are like unicorns, because I saw like you guys, and there's a couple other startups in my portfolio of founders that I backed that are on unicorn tracks. And I'm like, life is going to be like requiring more from me as somebody who wants to be active and supportive of founders and stuff. So I'm like, we have this thing in Bitcoin, right, where you say take your current level of wealth and 10x it, and that's the amount of money you want to invest into your security with your Bitcoin stack. And I just kind of flipped that and I thought, well, take my level of wealth and the problems that come along with my level of wealth and the things that I'm dealing with, and 10x those problems. Like, am I the type of person that can handle 10x the level of problems I have now? And I was like, no, I got some work to do. So I basically just stopped prescribing and telling people what they should do, and I just started focusing on myself and trying to get my shit together before, going out and telling everybody what they should do with their shit coins. I was like, I got to get my own, I got to remove the shit coins from my brain, control my inputs and focus more on the positive stuff. So I'm still on that path right now, but yeah, I feel way more confident in myself, and I've been able to slow things down a bit. And man, I feel so much happier that I'm not thinking about, I don't follow the world news, I don't follow macro, I don't follow crypto. I'm just like, how can I be a better leader? How can I be a better husband? How can I be better for myself and like show up for myself in the mirror, basically? And then hopefully with all that, improvement, then I can build the Citadel mind and body to help me actually build the Citadel. And what I consider the Citadel is just like anybody that I'm helping, anybody that maybe relies on me, whether it's family, friends, startup, portfolio founders, whatever it is. I'd like to be able to like be a net positive for them into the future for the next couple decades. So that's what I've been working on.
Really
and
inspiring.
It's been exciting, man, to just kind of, while I'm disconnected, just to see all the stuff that's going on in Bitcoin and see companies like you guys crushing it and everything that all the portfolio founders are doing. It's like, man, there's some big stuff going on in Bitcoin.
Yeah, man.
I don't even need to do anything. I just sit back and watch.
Well, it's not you're doing nothing. It's really you are inspiring people, and you're focusing on the right thing. Like listening to you now, I feel inspired and excited, and I feel like I can learn a lot. So what is it that the 2-3 main things that you changed? I mean, it sounds to me that mostly what you did is just cut off all the slack and cut out all the noise and the bullshit, and really focus with your full energy on what you are absolutely right on, which is Bitcoin, and really taking care of yourself. And that sounds easy, but it sounds simple, but it's definitely not easy to do, right? Or what are the 2-3 main things you changed that made you this person that you are now?
Well, a couple of the big things, man, it was after about 10 years, finally, I got to the point where I had enough conviction in Bitcoin that I really didn't need to follow any of the macro stuff anymore. I was like, finally I got to the point where I know where Bitcoin's going. When, in January 2023, I think it was, when the ETFs got approved and like BlackRock and all these institutional guys started getting into Bitcoin, Saylor stepped on the gas. The price was still depressed, but I was like, the writing's on the wall now. Like, this is literally going to be like a next 10-year rush to sort of develop Bitcoin infrastructure at that level, and this is setting off a new era of Bitcoin that I don't need to be involved anymore. I mean, I could be if it's my passion, but like, I finally got enough conviction to disconnect from having to like have that activity bias of constantly following what's the interest rates and what's the Federal Reserve doing, and what war is happening where, and what supply chain shortages where, like all that shit that we sort of just get exposed to constantly on Twitter. It just leaks into your brain and just fills your brain up with like all this useless stuff for your own life.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like, I don't know what it caused me to do that, but it was just taking a disconnect from all that shit that was not serving me. And I used to do this thing back probably, I sort of go through these phases every like 5 years of my life or so, where I'll kind of subscribe to some like magic woo-woo theory of thinking, like The Secret. You remember The Secret back in like 2008 or 7 or whatever it was? No. Or you might be too young for that one.
I was quite young. 2008, I was 16.
Okay, so there was this thing, right? The Secret. It was like a documentary film that was released, and Oprah Winfrey was huge into it, so it was like mainstream. And it's all about the law of attraction. And it was all about like thoughts become things, Bob Proctor and all these people that are like all these self-help folks.
Come back to you and stuff like that, right?
yeah, quantum mechanics and quantum thinking and all that shit, right? It was like vibrate your way to success, like all that crazy shit. So, but really it's just about like setting goals, getting clear, being intentioned, and willing your success into reality, believing it, visualizing and feeling your success, and or whatever, if it's love, if it's happiness, if it's financial success, if it's a career goal, like getting super clear, making a vision board, all that stuff. So for some people that's religion, like they put their trust in God, they believe in God, they believe they're called by God. A lot of the early Titans had this super magnetic religious pull that almost they were doing, like I read the book Titan by I think it's Rob Chernow or something like that. It's all about the Rockefeller rise of the Rockefeller empire and John D. Rockefeller and Standard Oil. And I've read a lot of these like history books about depressions and previous historical bubbles and things like that. And there's a common thread there that where all these guys that are kind of doing things that are outside of the norm, but they achieve this magnetic pull towards getting everybody on their side, and then they achieve huge things and they do these massive wins. You know, they build massive companies or whatever it is. A lot of them, they either believe in themselves or they believe God is calling them to do something. So this is just like a pattern through all successful people is that I've noticed, right? It's either somebody like maybe Kanye West is like, he believes he is God or something, right? So he's pulling himself forward. So if you can't have the confidence in yourself, you can outsource that to the universe or quantum mechanics or God or whatever that is for you, right? So I used to get into these phases where I would get, okay, I'm gonna like write all my goals down, get clear, dream a little bit, think about what is it I want out of life, make a vision board, write down like my goals. Like currently what I have is when I swipe on my phone left, I have pictures of myself, like AI generated images of myself as my goal body. So I got this, album where I just put these, well, actually, it's funny enough, like that's an AI generated one. And I was looking at this every morning. I'd wake up and I'd like see these AI generated images of myself, and it would pull me forward. It would put me in that energy of like, this is my goal. I'm going to do it. It's real. Look at it. It can be real. I'm going to do it. And it would just be like triggering myself to like stay focused on my goals and eliminate all the shit that was causing me to distract myself from my goals, like scrolling Twitter, arguing about politics, trying to convince somebody Ripple's a scam, like all this shit that's just totally not useful for my goals. Whether it's my personal finance stuff, it's in my Bitcoin nonprofit that I had started, trying to influence that to be more successful. Film stuff I'm doing, supporting the portfolio founders, my own gym success, whatever it is. I have lists now, and I kind of like try to focus on them once a day. But after a year and a half of working out at the gym, I actually, in November of this year, or last year, I did this water drop, which, I hired a bodybuilding coach. I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder, but I am like at the gym 5-6 days a week. So I've been working with this bodybuilding coach, and they do this thing called a water drop, and that's what they do before a show. And they deplete themselves of body water. It was really difficult. But I got these crazy pictures because my daughter wanted me to go out for Halloween as a anime character she likes. I don't know if anybody knows Demon Slayer, but it's like a crazy anime show that the kids are into. But then I started watching it with her, and actually I got hooked on it. And there's this character, Inosuke. He wears a pig's head, and he rolls around with no shirt on, fighting demons. And her favorite character is this other one, Zenitsu. He falls asleep when he fights, so she's like, we should go out for Halloween together as Demon Slayer characters. And I was honestly, after a year and a bit of doing the gym 6 days a week, I kind of lost a little motivation because I had achieved some really good results. But I was like, man, for me to get to the AI generated image of me, it's going to be like 5 years of this. I was like, shit, like TikTok next block, right? Like consistency is what Bitcoin does. Every 10 minutes, there's a new block. It's relentlessly consistent, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter if if the price is up or down. It's kind of an ability for you to like anchor, for me at least, to be able to anchor myself to the philosophy of Bitcoin. proof of work, TikTok next block, consistency, and even DCAing. Like in Bitcoin, it's dollar cost averaging, but to your own life, it's daily consistent actions.
Yeah.
So if you have a DCA plan for Bitcoin, you should also have a DCA plan for your own life.
Yeah.
10 minutes a day of reading a book.
Yeah.
10 minutes a day looking at your goals. You know, small little things that over time, the consistency and you keep showing up and doing them pays off.
Yeah, habits
So-
are what
Yeah.
make you who you are. Like Atomic Habits, the book is of course amazing. Like the habits just add up, and the good habits, but also the bad habits. Like the bad habits you have, like scrolling too much.
Oh, totally.
TikTok or this also adds up. If you do this for 10 years, you also fry your brain and you definitely get away from the goal you want. Whereas if you do the good habits like reading, going to the gym, etc., every day for 10 years, that's what brings you closer. Continuity beats intensity, right?
Totally.
Really inspiring.
So I was doing a lot of bad habits for a few years where I was just like going online, distracting myself from my issues and not eating right, not working out, and I changed all that. That was the biggest thing. I kind of got clear on like I got to change something. And like I said, I kind of thought like what is life going to be like 10 years from now? What if Bitcoin's 10 million a coin?
Yeah.
I do believe it's inevitable. And so why am I spending all my time wasting it arguing with people on Twitter and trying to warn people about shitcoins on Twitter Spaces? And what does that get me? Like, does that get me any leadership skills? Would I actually be able to build a Citadel? Like, let's say the Citadel meme is real, right? Imagine how much effort and energy and leadership skills it takes to manage people and hire people and support people and to build an actual Citadel, right? Yeah. So I was like getting myself visualizing. I was like, hey, Bitcoin's 10 million. You know, I'm able to hold on to everything I have and even acquire some more. Maybe some of my portfolio startups will like do a huge exit and I'll get more Bitcoin. And what if I could build a Citadel? Could I actually do it? And I'm like, hell no. Like I can't even freaking pay my internet bill on time. Like I need to figure out the skills required to manage more in my life, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it was. That was the number one biggest thing, was like realizing I had a problem and I had to solve it. And number two was getting over my shit, because you know a lot of people will just kind of have the midlife crisis or whatever, and then they'll just be like, oh well, I need to change something in my life. It's like my partner or my spouse or my location or whatever it is, and they kind of like use what they don't have as like a negative motivation to disrupt their lives. Like they'll waste a bunch of money on moving or buying a crazy vehicle or whatever it is, or start blaming their partner and stuff. And I just kind of realized like, okay, I just have to radically own my life, and I'm in charge of how I feel and how I interpret everything around me. And rather than telling everybody else around me what they need to do, I just need to just TikTok next block and set my goals and relentlessly just go after them. And I actually achieved the fitness goal that I had. And so now, as of November, it's awesome because I was able to replace like 90% of the pictures in my dream body album with actual pictures of me.
Wow.
And it was like I had a 6-pack abs and stuff for like 15 minutes. Because this water drop thing is like, this is like what the celebrities do when they're, you know, like about to rip their shirt off and reveal like their superhero body and all that stuff. It's like
stuff,
yeah, it's the celebrities do it, the bodybuilders do it, and literally you have this crazy protocol where you do all this insane stuff for 14 days, and then you get a 20-minute window to take photos.
What?
Because you just look the best. Because you deplete your body of body water. I went from 165 pounds to 148 pounds in about 3 weeks.
So you get rid of all the water, and then you have 20 minutes because what's next? You feel
so you completely you just completely deplete yourself of water, and then there's this process your body's going through where it's taking water from all the cells in your body because you're not drinking any water. So you ramp up your water like crazy. You get up to 10 liters of water in the first half of the day. I literally felt drunk off of water. Like I stopped drinking a year and a half ago, 2 years ago as well, and I haven't been like drunk off alcohol in a long time. And I drank so much water that I felt drunk. It was crazy.
Wow.
So my coach was like, I was like, dude, I'm feeling woozy. I'm feeling all happy and like, lightheaded and stuff. What's going on? He's like, yeah, you're just a little water drunk. Don't worry about it. It goes away. I'm like, I kind of like this feeling. I'm going to drink some more water. He's like, don't drink any more water.
Not
You're
more
done.
than 10. Not more
You're
than
cut
10.
off. No more water.
You're like high on water because your body really enjoys finally getting water again, right? So this is probably all the endorphins it releases.
It's that your blood's thinned. You drink so much water that you thin your blood out.
Oh, okay.
It's insane. It's not healthy. You shouldn't do it long term. But you do that, and then your body produces this hormone that tells your kidneys to like process water more. So your body, as you ramp up over 7 days of increasing your water up to finally 10 liters in 6 hours, and then you cut it off for a day and a half, your hormones are just like flooded through your body of this whatever hormone or whatever this is that tells your kidneys to just like, okay, ramp up. You got so much water to take out. And then you stop drinking the water. And so your body's just pulling, you're peeing like crazy. It's pulling, because you're not drinking any water for a day and a half after that. It just sucks the water out of all your fat cells and everything. And then the next morning when you're ready to do your photo shoot or your film or your competition or whatever, you get to eat some like chocolate or some carbs or whatever and do a little workout, and you get this insane pump and you look shredded, and then you take your photos and it's the best you can look. So it's a way to deplete your body of all of the water to reveal your muscles as if you were like this ripped person walking around.
That's how you did your pre and post photo, right? I think it's maybe 2 years in between or 3 years, and you really
it was. I mean, okay, so yeah, it was like a year and a half of going to the gym and like focusing on my shit and doing my daily consistent actions of going to the gym, doing my coaching stuff, focusing on my relationship with my wife, all this stuff that I wanted to increase my personal life, happiness. And then I finished it off with this photo shoot because I was kind of at the point where I was like, I got great results. I feel good. I like the way I look in the mirror. I have confidence.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, I'm kind of like a little over it at that point. I was like a year and a half in. I was like, all right, well, it's going to be 5 years of this. So strap in, it's going to be pretty difficult. And I didn't want to do the photo shoot because I'm not at the goal body yet because I got more work to do. I got to add a lot more muscle on, but it takes time, especially after 40. But then my daughter was like, hey, we should go for Halloween as this character from Demon Slayer. And the character she wanted me to go out as has the 6-pack abs. And I was like, oh, shit. That's the challenge. Challenge accepted. Let's go. So that motivated me to actually finish the whole process and get to the point where I could, do the photos and actually not be too embarrassed about doing it. So that was it. And we did the photos and it was pretty fun. And I was just, it was a good accomplishment personally to be able to finish that process. And now I'm just on the path of, continuing to try to hit the next goal.
You will stay on that path for the rest of your life, right? Because once you have this success experience, you don't want to stop. Like you're now you're into escape velocity territory where you never want to go back to not going to the gym every day and hit these milestones, etc. Right?
Dude, I mean, it's tough. I'm not gonna be honest. Like, it's not that easy for me, at least, because I wasn't this person for most of my life. Like for 40 years of my life, I was somebody different, right? And so now this is a new me. It's like an elevated version of what I wanted. I'm now at that spot. I'm the person that does keep his commitments to himself and does do the healthy things and controls the inputs and isn't raging on Twitter and being unhappy and filling my mind with garbage online. But I still have the old reality, it's part of my existence, and my old identity is like very loud, especially around the holidays. I basically, so around the holidays, it's like, I think I gained like 15 pounds back over the holidays because it was like parties, and we moved in one of the rewards I gave myself for doing the work, because in 2024 I thought like I needed to move. That was my big thing. I was like, I don't like the house I'm in. I've been living here for 15 years. It's time to up level. I got to start my starter Citadel. I got to get a new Citadel. So I was like, I'm not the type of person that can handle that yet. So I wanted to earn it before, even though I could do it. I didn't want to sell Bitcoin, and I wanted to be able to figure out a way to acquire a dream starter Citadel without selling any Bitcoin, and without it being a like midlife crisis thing where I was like, oh, this will make me happy. I'm like, I got to learn to be happy with what I have and to love the life I'm living before I start trying to make my life what the life of my dreams is going to be. Because it's like if you actually can love the life you live, then it is the life of your dreams. So you can have a dream life, but your life can be your dream life. And then if that's the case, this sounds so crazy, but if you love your life as it is and you have vision for what you want your life to be, but you live in the present and you're grateful for what you have, you will probably pull forward more of those things of your dream life. As long as you're like aware of your goals and what you're trying to achieve, but also grateful for what you have. And I realized it was this term that I've been kind of like anchoring to lately called blissful dissatisfaction. And that's the kind of way that I am thinking about things now. I want to be blissfully dissatisfied. So it's like a way to have gratitude for what you have and what you've accomplished without settling for what you have. Yep. And respecting and honoring your ability to want to do more and have a bigger impact. That's the way for me, because I used to be, and a lot of Bitcoiners I think are like this, because we live in the future. We live in low time preference, right? Where it's like we know what's coming. So we're prepared for what's coming financially, and probably most of us preparing for like where we're going to live. A lot of people have contingency plans, and they're just very much thinking about the future. And for me, that was my superpower. I realized that was like seeing Bitcoin so early, and also investing in people like yourself and other startup founders, where I was like, this could be massive. I want to be on this train. I have a good natural ability, I think, to do that, but I didn't realize until I started doing this work on myself that, hey, like that is also a bane. It's a boon and a bane. Because you can, if you're too far in the future, you're not living in the present, and you're too in your logical mind, and you're too analytical, and you kind of disconnect from your emotions a bit, and you can become too stoic, too rational. You know what I mean? So that's what happened to me. And so I had realized that over the years, over 10 years of like reading about Bitcoin, reading about risk management, reading about history, reading about this and that, and the things I was going through, I almost like closed myself off emotionally to the present, because I was waiting for this future that was coming. It was like the future was like, I was excited about the future, but I was never really blissfully kind of like operating in the present.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so that was kind of the big thing for me, is like learning how to be happy with what I had. So eventually, like, I rewarded myself for doing the work, and my wife and I grew stronger, and I got my shit together personally. I hit my fitness goals and started doing mindset stuff and coaching, setting goals and all that stuff. And then I rewarded myself with acquiring this property, this starter Citadel that I'm at. And I was able to do it through taking a Debify loan. So I didn't want to sell my Bitcoin. Yeah. I figured it out. We did it. I found a good lender with good terms that I was comfortable with. And so, yeah, I was able to make that happen. So that was like the reward for myself. So now that we're in this amazing property, we want to entertain a lot. And so my wife's really good at decorating and entertaining and hosting and all that stuff, and I love doing it. So we had a lot of parties and just lots of family events and things. So there's constantly like candy and chocolate and treats and stuff all over the house. And, you know, my old identity kind of gave in during the holidays. It was like, you earned it. You know, you did good. You earned it. You don't have to go to the gym 6 days a week. You can go 4 days a week. And you can eat that food. You'll get back on track later. So it was like, dude, I kind of slipped on my daily consistent actions. I started waking up later. I started not doing my mindset routine every day. I'd do it every third day or something. Just enjoying myself during the holidays. And before you know it, that old voice is back, being like, oh, you know, it's so crazy because I'm like telling myself in my head, like, you know, that voice, my old self is like, oh, you're fat or whatever. Something negative, like some negative self-talk. And then it's like, that's the voice that causes me to want to go eat some candy, you know, whatever, give up, take it easy, play some video games, whatever it is. Oh, you know, you got to figure out this complicated business thing that's not going the way you want it to do. Just go play some video games. Just forget about it. So the new me is like fighting the old me. And this is kind of a common thing because I'm in this coaching program with a bunch of entrepreneurs and stuff that are also going through fitness journeys and trying to do this stuff. And we all kind of have the same thing. So it's common for when you're trying to become somebody new, like there's like a battle between your old self and your new self. But the crazy thing is like, I just have to look at myself in the mirror and that voice just goes away. Cause the work I put in, even though I gained like 15 pounds over the holidays, I can just literally look at myself and be like, you're lying. I'm still here. You know, get away, go on, get away. I don't need that self-talk. So it's the funniest thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever had an experience like that.
Yeah.
And like maybe.
Yeah. I studied psychology. I don't know if you remember, but and I do reflect a lot on these things, and I do coaching myself as well, etc. And also lately, I had this conversation, very similar conversation, where and I was wondering, you know, it sounds like you because every one of us has these different personalities inside of us, and they keep conflicting. And some of them you build up over your life and they stay, and some of them grow more dominant and bigger, and some of them are smaller, etc. But they all stay, and somehow they're always there and conflicting. So that the question is, are they battling? Are they fighting? Because if that's the case, you're running in a constant fight, which I had for a long time. But I don't like having a constant fight in myself. I want to be calm and peaceful eventually, right? And so the other perspective that this person showed me is, well, it's maybe more about accepting all of them, but choosing which ones you want to give more time and effort and energy, which ones you want to allocate more of yourself to, which ones you really want to become in the now, and which ones you want to keep in the past, and then basically integrating all these. So accepting all of them, but integrating them and choosing consciously who you want to, which ones you want to entertain, instead of keep them in a constant battle, right?
Yeah, I like that strategy. I've been kind of going through it lately with, like I said, the holiday stuff. And my wife actually just finished reading this book called You Happier. And this is kind of another story that I want to follow up on what you said, but give a little context maybe. So my wife and I have been together 20 years, and we've been married like 18 years.
Beautiful.
And one of the things that I was like, you know, she has autoimmune disorders and stuff. So she's been through a lot health-wise, and she's gone through a lot, and she's learned a lot, and she's gotten through it, and like has become a different person. And she struggles with this too sometimes, because she's learned so much about her autoimmune condition and has helped like family members and stuff, and has just become almost like a medical researcher. But she, you know, we both met at comedy school when we were kids, like when we were like 19, 20 years old, whatever it was. We were doing like sketch comedy and stand-up comedy. We met at clown college, right? So it's like we were different people. And you know, we weren't like going to be doctors or anything like that. I wasn't going to business school or anything like that. We were like just having fun and being funny and whatever. And you know, the type of person that goes to the clown school or the comedy college is the class clown. So, you know, we weren't known for like acing all of our tests and stuff. So you can kind of tell yourself, well, I'm not a smart person. And if you anchor to that identity, then you can negative self-talk your way, right? But it wasn't until finally, like she would be in meetings with doctors where when they would start asking her over the last couple of years, like, "Are you a doctor?" or "Are you a medical researcher?"
Wow.
Like because she'd be like very much like solving problems with them, like almost like collaboratively, and it was just, you know, very impressive. So I've been proud to see her grow. But, you know, we had this issue where a few years ago, when I was like happy-go-lucky on podcasts and on Clubhouse and all that stuff, but really I was just distracting myself from doing the work because I wasn't doing the work. I wasn't doing the work with my wife. I wasn't doing it with myself, with the gym, whatever. And so, you know, I would always be telling, oh, you shouldn't eat that. Like, you got an autoimmune condition, you shouldn't be eating that stuff. Or you too much sugar in your coffee, and we got to be healthier, and like you should go to the gym, and you know, all this stuff. When it wasn't until I did this coaching program with Dan Martell, and he had these two key things that really anchored my operating style for the next year and a half, which were extremely effective, which is like, number one, nobody has to change for you to win. And that, because all the time you have people being like excited to be on this journey, right? They're doing your goal setting, you're starting a new business, you're investing in yourself, whatever it is, you're going to the gym, but your partner, you want them to come along with you, and you're prescribing to them what they should do. And like, oh, if I could only get them to come agree to run a marathon with me, then we'd both be healthy. Or if I could only get my business partner to do this, read this book, then we'd be successful. Or if I could only do what, you know what I mean? You always like, it's almost like
Yeah.
a negative belief that limits you.
It's more
And
about them
so,
rather than yourself.
yeah, it's a way to like offload your success to like to protect yourself from not succeeding. It's like, it's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's their fault.
Yeah.
So Dan's just like, nobody has to change for you to win. And be the lighthouse, not the tugboat. That was the other thing he says all the time. It's like, instead of pulling people all the time and like kind of like trying to drag them along and you're going to be met with resistance doing that. He's like, you just got to show up so consistently, and your life needs to change so much that people just can't help but ask you, what do I do? How do I replicate this? What do you think I should do? And everybody that's in your life knows you as the previous version of yourself, the person who doesn't go to the gym, the person who doesn't keep commitments, whatever it is, right? The person who starts and stops things and doesn't finish what they start. But once you become the person long enough, everybody around your life will usually start to like be attracted to that.
Yep.
And if you do those two things at once, where you don't focus on anybody else, what anybody else has to do, you just focus on like, nobody else has to change for me to win. I'm just going to win. And I'm going to be the lighthouse and inspire other people through my proof of work. And those were the things that kind of ended up working out so extremely well for me, because for so long I was in this thing like, I know what to do. Like, I'm so smart. I knew about Bitcoin. You know, all this stuff. I know about the world finances. I know about what's going on in the supply chains in the global south and all this shit.
You
You
want
got
to
to
tell
listen to
everyone
me.
Ripple is a scam.
Yeah, like,
Because you know.
yeah. So rather than doing that and prescribing, I just started doing. And I'm telling you, man, it totally changed everything, because I got happier. So it was like a cycle. It was like, I actually started feeling happier because I no longer was thinking about what I had to tell everybody else to do. It was just about what I had to do. And the longer I kept doing it, the DCAs, right, the daily consistent actions, the more results I was getting. So it was this like positively upward spiraling process between people around me and myself. So my wife started working out on her own, doing her own thing, right? Like, she started doing mindset development stuff. We started growing as a couple. I started putting as a commitment like date nights in our calendar. And that was something that also, Dan's like, show me your calendar, I'll show you your commitments, I'll show you what you care about. Because if you say you love your kids and you love you love yourself and you love your wife or whatever, you'll do anything for them. But there's no date night scheduled. You don't have your gym scheduled. You don't have your mindset routine scheduled. Like, you don't actually like believe that. So just freaking do it. Put it in the calendar, get it done. And honestly, man, it was like the coolest thing because we like became in love again. Like we fell like love drunk, which was like crazy. Like I've never felt that feeling before. And it's not like we never loved each other. It was just like after 20 years, things become route or normal or whatever. And things between us have always been great. But like we got to a new all-time high. And it was like so cool because and we both stopped drinking alcohol like 2 years ago because, like I said, she has an autoimmune condition. And I wanted to support her with that decision because it's not good for people with autoimmune conditions, the medical things that they have to do and take. So we stopped, and it was like a year later, like we were having dinner at one of our date nights, and like we started feeling woozy. And I was like, oh, weird, I'm feeling woozy. And she's like, what the heck, me too. I wasn't going to say anything. So it was the craziest thing that like your mind can get into these altered states just through things like being connected to somebody and drinking too much water or or whatever.
All the health.
But yeah, so that's all a big long story to say that like now my wife and I are kind of like working on our goals together, and I want to support her goals, and it's great because we're reading different mindset books now together and different relationship books. Like If the Buddha Married is a great book I'd suggest people read, and The Big Leap is a huge, amazing book that people should read. Big help for me last year and the year before. But yeah, she's reading this book now that she just finished called You Happier. And in the book, it talks about what you were just talking about. And he says that what people can do is name the personality. So if you got a personality that's like an old personality, you can give it a name and then just say, no, thank you, whatever the name is, or like, thanks, but I don't need that, whatever it is. So my wife named hers Felicia. So whenever like she get this like negative self-talk thing, like, oh, you have wrinkles or something to distract her from her happiness, she's like, bye, Felicia. So every once in a while I'll just hear her in the house saying, bye, Felicia. So it's like, that's hilarious.
So cool, but hey, if it works, I mean, it's really inspiring how just listening to you it's so, in the end, it's so simple, but it's not easy, but it's just choosing to work on yourself, and everything else and everyone else will come along, and actually it will have this effect that all the bad things and all the bad people in your life, they will organically go away, and all the good things and all the good people will organically be attracted and join you on this journey, right? It's true.
Yeah.
That you only need the proof of work on yourself, and that's the simple but not easy thing to do, and then everything else will fall in place.
Yeah, it takes a lot of consistency, right? Like you said, it's a years long process, and I've been at this now on and off for like 20 years, but like I'll go like a year and then I'll stop for 2 or 3 years because I'll achieve some goals and then I'll like, all right, I did it. I'm gonna do something else, and then but now I realize it because I always never wanted to put the work in. I always wanted to do the minimum effective dose thing, like the Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week thing. I'm like, I gotta optimize my time and all this shit. But it wasn't until I read Buy Back Your Time and I saw Dan doing it, and I'm like, man, he's killing it. He's like crushing on the business. He's crushing on his investments, crushing on his fitness goals, his family life, his relationship stuff. He's got the abs, all that stuff. Like it's literally Bitcoin. Like it's proof of work. It's TikTok next block, DCA plan, and consistently. Like it just consistency will be paying off over time. And it is difficult because you do have ebbs and flows. But the coolest thing is that I've experienced multiple times through this journey, your old highs become your new lows. Yeah. So like I said in the holidays, when I was like off the rails and I was not eating right and I was not going to the gym 6 days a week. I maybe only go 3 or 4 days a week. And then I started feeling a little negative about myself. I started the new year in literally like the best shape I've ever started a new year after being off the rails for 5 weeks. You know what I mean? I was like, that's crazy. Like, I'm starting the new year as a regular in the gym, not some guy who's coming there just because it's his New Year's resolution. He's only going to stay for a month and nobody wants to talk to because you're not going to be there next week. You know what I mean? I came in, I was like, hey, this is my new self, right? Like, I didn't have to set a resolution to come. This is just what I do. And I'm like, I look at myself, I'm like, you know, it's not that bad. Like, actually, it's pretty crazy because I felt like I was in a low. But I'm like, this is higher than any previous high I had. My new low is my old high. So I'm like, that is what I can see and point to as being like, man, imagine what I can do if I keep this up for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Even if I hit the lows, even if I screw up, even if I fail, if I just keep showing up and keep figuring out what the problem was last time and solving it and hiring people to help me solve it, because, you know, I've hired probably like 7 or 8 coaches over the last year and a half because I'm like, help me solve this, please.
It's like what James Clear, the author of the Atomic Habit, calls it, or how he describes it, is basically many people do it like you, where they can do something consistently for a year or two and then they fuck up again because they look at it as a project. Oh, I want to be fit. Okay, now I'm fit enough and now I let it go. And of course, they're not fit anymore a year or two later. So that's why you need to introduce a system of habits. And how can you do it for the rest of your life is you need to implement it in your identity. So you not only you become like, I stopped drinking. No, it's like I'm not a drinker anymore, right? Or I start going to the gym. No, I'm now the guy that goes to the gym all the time, right? So you need to become this person and then you will stay for the rest of your life and it's actually going to be effortless to keep up these habits.
Yeah, that's the current plan I think I'm working on is like, how do I do that? You know, that's a tough one. It's like, it sounds easy, but it's not. I'm going through it now.
No. I'm
It's
doing
difficult.
it with alcohol, for example. So you already have achieved this. I'm not there yet. I drank way too much the last, I must say, almost 20 years. I started drinking early. I grew up in the village.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm 33 now, so I honestly had my first sip of
Do the
alcohol at
math.
13. Yeah, and
Don't do the math.
yeah. I'm not proud of it, but like that's how I grew up in a small village on the countryside in Switzerland. Like teenagers start drinking at one point, and then we drink and we go out and party, and you know, and just it becomes a habit. Again, it's a bad habit. It becomes a habit. There was no weekend I didn't drink for 15 or 20 years. And sometimes also during the week I had a few beers and stuff. So it's just part of my life. And then I figured out, no, I don't want to do this anymore. Also because I surrounded myself with great people in the business and in private, and many of them didn't drink, and they looked at me a bit, you know, strange. Like, why would you drink so much and all the time? And then I started. It started with 1 month. I had one dry month, and to be honest, it's really hard. For most normal people, it's like, yeah, it's just a month without drinking. It's not a big deal. For me, it's really hard to say no. This was last year in summer. I had 1 month where I didn't drink, and now I drink much, much less. But it is tough. I have to say no a lot of times when I used to say yes the last 20 years, right? A friend of mine calls me, oh, you want to grab a beer? And I'm like, yeah, I come for beer, but an alcohol-free beer, you know? And so it's all these habits and implementing that into your identity. So I'm not a person that drinks anymore, right? This switch of identity is hard, as you said, yeah.
You should, because I had this kind of thing, because my wife, like I said, was reading the book, and it came up with this thing about labeling your personality and then separating it from yourself by labeling, giving it a name.
Yeah.
The whatever the personality is that you're trying to like correct or identify as like an upper limit or a ceiling on your capacity. Oh, we still on? Yeah, okay, my app disappeared, but we're here. But my coach, Dan, actually had a recent kind of video for us where sometimes he'll do like pre-recorded videos where he'll just like think about something that he's doing in his life and then he'll give it to us as a nugget in his mindset program. He's got a business coaching program and a mindset coaching program. And I'm kind of subscribed to both, but more so for the mindset stuff because I don't really need the business stuff as much. It's more so like, how do I become a person who can build a citadel? Well, a lot of that's mindset, right? Because Bitcoin's growing for me. Like, that's the crazy thing about this. Most of the people that are getting coached are like trying to find that thing that they can grow, right? That can grow 30% a year or whatever. Bitcoin's just doing it for me. For a lot of us Bitcoiners, we kind of like need to figure this shit out and up our mindset game because we're going to be in a position where we're going to be very influential. People are going to be relying on us. We're going to have a lot of resources. So leadership development, I think in Bitcoin is a huge thing that people should be thinking about personally. But anyway, I watched a video and he's like, he said something that really kind of made sense to me, that a lot of these voices that we hear in our head, whether it's like, you should eat that chocolate bar, or you deserve it, or, you know, who are you to think you can make X amount of dollars, or, you know, who are you to think you're a leader, that you can hire this person that knows so much more than you, and, you know, all this like self-talk stuff. Some people it's food, some people it's business, some people it's self-worth, whatever. He says that it's like, it's actually your inner child, that it's actually you as a child when you have, usually it's an issue related to when you were developing, and it's your inner child, and you can like kind of take that child aside in your mind and say, you know, thanks for bringing this up, but I'm a different person now. I've got the resources. I got the support. I don't need your protection. You know, we got this. And then you can kind of like calm yourself down by talking to that voice as if it's your inner child. Exactly. And being like empathetic towards it, which is the opposite of what I was doing. I'm still thinking of like, I'm thinking about it like I need to bully my inner child. I'm like, you go back to fat camp, mildew, go. You know, I'm like, I chose a name for my inner voice that my bullies used to give me when I was a kid. And I started bullying myself into submission. So I was like, maybe this is not a healthy way to deal with the inner voice, to like give it a negative name and bully it into submission.
Part of you is nothing negative, right? It's just a part of you that you don't choose anymore today to be like. But it's still, you know, cool. It's still part of the family, right? There's a whole.
You should run that by your coach next time. Say, hey, is it okay if I bully my inner child? I'm curious to see what he says.
I will ask her. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you've got a female coach now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not how she sees it being done.
I'd like to hear what she says. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you know. Brad, this was so inspiring. Thank you so much. The hour is over. We're gonna try to be below an hour. But I think we should definitely do this more often than every fucking 3 years. I can't believe it.
Yeah, man, I would love to have like a conversation. Maybe I'll start my podcast back up. I'll have you come on, and I want to hear about like all of the things that you've grown through over the last 3 years, because you took your company, you know, you and the team took it from a small startup to now like growing really, really fast. There's probably so many mental challenges you had to overcome, so many leadership development skills you had to overcome. I know you've been doing coaching for years, so you probably got tons of really good lessons about that other startup founders would like to hear about. Maybe you do talk about it on the podcast, but I'm curious to know about like how you learned about how to delegate tasks, and how do you use assistants, and how do you interface with those, and how do you get over all that stuff, and what you've learned as a leader over the last few years.
That'd be lovely. I would love to do that, and I'll definitely bring you on way sooner again to this podcast. Thank you, Brad. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for your time, and wow, what a journey you're on, and what development you have done. So big milestones you're achieving. Really, congrats to that.
Thanks, man. And I'm pretty active now these days on Instagram, so if anybody wants to kind of follow along, I post the stories a lot. They disappear after 24 hours, so I'm trying not to post too much that sticks around. But I do post all the time about like what I'm learning and what I'm doing and the mindset routines and things I learned. So if anyone wants to follow my journey along on Instagram, I'm Brad Mills Can on there.
Let's go. I'm following you for years already. Don't regret it.
Awesome.
All right. Cheers, Brad. Thank you.
Hey, this is Joel again from the Relay team. First of all, thanks for listening or watching to the podcast. We really appreciate your help here. If you want to actually help us out further, you can leave us a 5-star review in the Apple Podcasting Store, in Spotify, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts, because this way we'll actually reach more people with this fantastic content. And I'll see you in the next one.